All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having uh, a nice week. Okay, so we'll just start in a second. Yes, someone has started recording. Thank you very much for that. And it's okay, so we have got a lot of people coming in. All right, so yes, Jennifer, good afternoon. Katrina and Zulika. So, I was in your city for 2 days, and I had the opportunity to meet some of the wonderful students of this section as well. So thank you very much for them. I would like to thank them, by the way. They visited, the conference center where we were we were staying in the Delta hotels, by the way, and then the conference center, and some of the guys came there, and that was really nice to meet them, all of them. All right, so this session is supposedly going to be, I'll just share my screen shortly. Give me a second and I'll just share my screen, and I would rather will show you that what's going on in our right. So this is generally the last class before our our project start, like our sprint start. So supposedly it was supposed to be a front end session. And I'll just let you know that what we have done in front end session. So if you guys remember, we had done a little project, a library. We were doing a little library project, and we had reached to a point where we had. I'll just show you this library project. And what we did was we had reached to a point where at least we have started taking the input from the user, and not only taking the input from the user, but also creating a row. And then if you remember that, we talked about some of the very interesting functions in JavaScript. And if you guys remember that towards the end, what we did was a practice of this add we have talked about the timers, if you guys remember that one. And where did we mention that? I'll have to just look into that one. Do you guys remember that we have talked about this um, set timeout function, and the other one. And I'm just trying to find that script where we have done this timeout and all those kind of things. Do you guys remember that in the week 6 folder? Da 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 da. Doesn't even doesn't even have that one where we did those. um Let me just find out. Da, da, da. Okay, anyhow, let's see that. Anyhow, so we started talking about some of the very interesting functions. One of them was set timeout. And if you guys remember, that set timeout function was doing that one. So I'll just, let me quickly have a look at that one. Maybe that was in there, or okay. But for today, what we are doing, as I said, since today it will be our last session before our mid exam, our sprint, first sprint. So what I'm doing, rather than continuing on that part, and this project is still a little bit work in progress, that I will definitely come again to it after our project and everything. But till now, I would just like to show you that where we have stopped, so that whenever you happen to open this anytime, you know that what was going on in our project. So I'll just show you the running form of what was the status of the project at the time when we left it, and now what we want to do. So you remember this was our project, and the project has some interesting things that are happening over here. And we have seen that actually what happens is that whenever we enter a name of the book, so whatever, if it is Java, if it is someone, if it is 1234, and if I hit submit, you guys remember that it would show me those books being added at the row. Now, the thing remaining, if you guys remember that we were talking about some other aspects of it, this as well. So the one of the aspect would be that when we submit that, a successful message should appear. When we leave that empty, an error message should appear, and things like that. So again, this is a work in progress that I will definitely come back to it. But till this point of time, I would really suppose, or I would really expect from all of you that you guys know about this much, that we have how to take input or how to take values from the function, and how we can just basically pass them to a function. And if you see, if you remember, we have just taken the values out of the form controls, and then we passed it to the add book to list function. And add book to list function, receiving title, author, and ISBN, was doing what over here? It was just doing what? It was creating a new row for every time whenever it is called. Like, we'll be calling it multiple times. So whenever you call it, it will create a new row, and that new row will have all the data that was being passed over there. And when this row is cooked up, when the row is cooked up, what we do, we actually append that row as a child to the book list. And what was the book list? If I just remind you, book list was the area where I had to just embed. And this is the comment area that really shows that what we were doing. So I need a quick feedback about this project till this point of time. Oh, I see. So you say, Vanessa, that I use that one. No, Marlana, your question about sprint, yeah, it's not a solo one. It's a group again, right? And again, we'll be very shortly getting an email from Nicholas about the group's information, group formation, as you know that we had that previously as well. So it's up to you. You guys can make your groups, and if someone is having problem, they let me know. Okay, so Vanessa, you said that it was there, but what about the project, like the book project? And you say I use the doc.js, so I'll just show you that. That's wonderful. You have just mentioned that one. Dogs.js was not used. Maybe the script was used. Oh, yeah. So I used here at set timeout, and I told you that set timeout does lots of wonderful things. And if you remember the running project that I showed you, that if user does not enter anything and hit submits, for example, so there should be a pop-up appear, and that pop-up should have a message. So again, it's a work in progress that I am just leaving right now. And again, the type of the amount of work that we have done, I'm expecting it to be good at that time. But of course, we have to complete this one. And about so we will be just doing that one. So hostel groups capacity is 3, like ideal is 3. But of course, if in a rare circumstance, in a extraordinary situations, we might go for 4. But it has to be a 3, like a group of 3, not more than 3. It can be less than 3, but not more than 3, in an ideal world. But of course, if there is something that happens. Okay, so again, if I ask question, everyone understands till this point of time the set interval method and the set timeout method. We talked about after 3 seconds, these methods will trigger up, and when this trigger up, it will just do these kind of things. So can I have a quick feedback from everyone? Do you guys are all on the same page about the project? Because today I'll talk about more about React, because we have few things we have to complete about the React. And then because that would be much more important for our exam as well, the sprint part as well. We'll just talk about that one. Wonderful. I can see a lot of people are giving thumbs up. So please, you have to keep in mind that whatever we have discussed over here, it all will be basically included over there. And we will just try to. So today, what we are doing today. Wonderful. So we like this was a project, as I said, this is a work in progress that we'll just talk about later on. So if I go to my programming JavaScript in lectures, oh, did I introduce something? And yeah, so if we in week 6 we created our first app. Do you guys remember that one? First app. And in first app, I'll just show you what we did. And again, to run that one, I'll have to go into my folders, programming JavaScript, and CD lectures, and CD week 6, and then CD first app. right? And then I can run, if you guys remember, npm start. So I'm just showing you the last state of the project that we were talking about, how we have run, done that one. So I'm just talking about that one. All right, so this is now running, and we'll see that why how it is basically happening. Yes, so you remember that we have talked about this application, and in this application, and again, I'll just show you this first tab. And if you guys remember that in our src folder, which is the main folder, we created a components, and you remember we tried to create our own components. And to create our own components, I told you the harder way and then the easier way. We have talked about both of the ways of how to do that with the components. So I've just told you about that one. So what I'm doing right now, I'll continue with some of the concepts of things, because that would be needed for our our project. I'll continue with that one, and then what we'll do after our sprint is gone, after our challenge week is gone, we will again start another project in React that we will continue, and we will be just looking at some of the options over there. So now, very quickly, if I just remind you that this was the header component, and I told you some of the different things about this, that how to destructure the props that are passed. And you guys remember what were the props? Props were the messages that are sent by the calling component. Whenever a calling component passes some variables, the properties like this in a form of key value pairing, and when it sends something, it's actually that becomes a prop. And to destructure that prop, what we do, oh, sorry, I just closed that header. So to destructure that props, you remember we can just write the props over here, and we can destructure like this. I told you this was the one way. This is the second way, but here we have to know the name of the project, like the properties, and that's why then we can then I can just only call them. And then I told you the most intuitive way, the most interesting way that we will generally be following, and that intuitive way is that we will just keep this the name of them in a curly bracket in the beginning, and then what will happen is that it will just receive that. So for practice purpose, if you remember when you are leaving, I just told you that there is one more component called about, and I just use that about component over there as well. And when we had called that, I called both of them. So this first React application was coming from our main app.jsx, and this hello. Let me just show you where these all things are coming from. I'll just show you that. So look at that. So first of all, I'll show you app.jsx. What app shows is this first React application is basically an H1 that is coming from our app component. And then app component does a very interesting thing. App components calls this header component. And how does it call? You remember I told you that we need to first of all import that. And after importing that, we will just we can call that as a normal component. So I import a header, and when I import that, I can call header, and then I'm passing two props from here, two properties from here. Title is equal to hello, and message is equal to this is the first user defined component. And when I call this header component destructures those props by using again the method that I told you, and taking this title and message out of them. And when taking this title and message out of them, it can just return in any of the form where it wants. Then we talked about the stylings, and I told you that styling can be applied with double curly brackets over here as an inline style. But here we are talking about not inline style. We are talking about if we define a style, adding a style variable which has some styling definitions, we can just do that one as well. And if we do that, and we say ph3 style is equal to curly brackets heading style, which is the name of that defining variable that is defining the styles. So if I do that, I will be basically doing what? I will be having that style applied to that particular title or whatever where I'm applying to it, this will be applied over there. And if you guys remember that we just gave this one, and I'll just change this one just to show you. And if I say the background color should be red, so again, this styling would be implemented would be implemented to our, like, to our application and of our components. And hopefully it would be recompiling. And after recompiling, it will just show me the change and when the server will restart. So you see that it's basically the styling has been applied. So everyone is with me because today I'll be talking about some more important aspects of it. But before I go a bit more deeper into the components thing, what I'll do for practice purpose, and again, I'll come back to AppNode. So I called this header component, which has two props. Then I called this about component. What was about component? I just created this for out of no, of no use, but just a component. So I said function about return div h1 about me, this is about me again, and then I just export it by default, and then I call this about component. And I told you that we can not only send the variable values over here with the help of like as a props, we can even see the variables. You see, if I want to send a variable, I'll say title is equal to name, and I can send that one over there. So now what I'm doing, just for the again, I'll continue this file because we are doing the same kind of thing. But after the mid, we will do what after the project, we will basically start a new project. So now for about this, like a quick feedback. Okay, it says command not fine. Okay, so yes, you got it, Jennifer. Sorry, I did not see your message because of my screen. Anyhow, so can I have a quick feedback from everyone that you guys understand till this point what we have done in React, like that part that I have just reviewed. Katrina, thank you very much. Vanessa, that's wonderful. All good. Thank you. All good, Amy. Thank you. Wonderful. Now let's move forward. And I would like to, as I said, before even starting something new, I'll just remind you how to make a new component and how to call that, just for practice purpose. So I'll go to my components folder. I'll right click and I'll say new file. And for example, let's call it footer.jsx. So we'll have three components to play with. Footer.jsx. And who will tell me shortcut to create an automatically cooked up component? Do you guys remember shortcuts? We had installed an extension that allowed us to use shortcuts to create the components. So who would like to tell me what were those shortcuts? Yes, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. RFCE. Let's go back. RFCE. And I told you the difference between this RFCE, and then I told you another one. Rather, I'll use that today for RAFCE. Remember arrow function. You see, it's almost exactly the same thing, but in an arrow syntax. Make sense, everyone? And I'm using that one. It's never hard and fast what type you should use. It's up to you. So again, let me just tell you. If you write RFCE, it will exactly create the same component as we were typing by ourselves. And if I use RAFCE, it would be an arrow function being created exactly the same way. It has exact same nature, but of course that. And if you remember, I told you that this is no longer needed. Import React for that one. So you can just start it from this point of time. This is the footer component, which is ready now. And again, I don't want to do any extravagant thing over here. Just I want to call it on my app. How would I call that? I'll go to my app.jsx or app.js. Here I would say footer. And should it be called? Anyone? I've intentionally just done something. It says one error. Not only error, it said error. Footer is not defined. Wonderful. Can anyone tell me what step I have missed out? Of course, you should remember that now. What step I have just missed out intentionally here? Anyone? Import at the top of the page. Amy, thank you very much. Importing. I have not done the importing, and that's very important. I have to import the component. So I have to import what? Footer. From. Let's go inside components. There is a component called footer. No JSX, by the way, right? And if I hit save now, all the errors should be gone. And now I get a footer as well over here. So this page now contains three components, like rather four components. One of them is app by itself. So 4 components: app component, and then the header component, which is running over here. Like, the app component is showing first React application. This one is shown by the main application, the main app component. And then if you look at over here, I am calling first the header component with some values. So header components take the title of hello and message of this is the first user defined component, runs that. Then about me component is running, and about me has a h1 or something, whatever. And then footer is running. This is like, footer is basically running. Now let's maybe try to make it a bit more interesting, because about has this h1, and why not let's copy this div from about and put it that in the footer. I just want to make the footer a bit interesting. Now, so not about me, this is footer. So I'll say this is footer, right? So footer should be there. So now if I look at that one, this will be footer, and this is the footer component. So I have 3 components running on app.jsx together. And again, out of them, I have just worked with one in a downer deeper detail. With the prop types, I define default prop types. I define, default. If you define default prop types, they will always replace the values if the value does not come. And I told you that if I come here and if I call this header again without any values, I can call that, no problems, no issues. But the only issue will be that since I have not passed anything to this header component now, the default title, which I have given as a default, if you look at that one, the default is default title, and this is a default message. So it comes up with that message. So that's an interesting way of telling, the React compiler that the thing that I am passing will be basically, it would be doing something like that one, right? So that's something that we have done. So now I would like to talk about something new. So we have talked about, how to add components and how to just make those things. Now here I would like to just talk about one very important aspect, and that aspect is that how to pass. We have not only pass, we can not only pass that one, right? Rather we can also pass, or we can also receive like some of the actions as well. Now let's come back over here and let's try to do something with our header component. So in my header component, let's do something over here. This is the header component. It has a title, and why not? I will just come here just to make it a bit less complex. I'll just take away the header, and I'll even take away the about. I just keep footer and one header. So this is my components right now, right? Just for the fun purpose, I just want to do that one, right? Okay. So now if I come here in my header component. So where I am right now, again, just to remind everyone, I am inside now header component. So in header component, after the title, after the message, I just add a button here. Let's add a button, right? And let's call it add or something. I just add a button over here, right? Let's have a look at that one. How does it look like? So this is a button which is in the header component. So header component has this title, message, and a button, right? Message, title, and a button. Here, I would like to talk about a very important file that maybe we have not talked about a lot, but let's see what we are talking about. So you remember that I talked about that stylings are coming from different places, and someone asked this question. I remember clearly that why we are defining styling over here. So I told at that time as well. This really depends upon you, but generally the most important file that we work with while working styling is called this index.css. Index.css. So if you open this index.css, I would like to show you something. It has some default styling being applied, right? What is the web font? What is the code? I just don't want anything. So index.css, I just cleared it out, right? And for example, because I have created a button, I want to show you a few interesting things. So for example, I say I'm defining a button class, BTN. I'm defining my own class, BTN. And I say the background color of BTN should be, let's say #000, which is black. Background color is black. And the color should be white. So that is #FFF. And let's say we would like to have, I'll just talk about that one. So BTN class, for example, I've defined a BTN class. Now, importantly, if you define some style in index.css that I showed you here, if you define some style in index.css, you can use that styling in our any of the component. So I come to my header component, look at that. And I say in this button, I want to apply a class. Should I write class or class name? Let's write class. You will see that. If I write a class and I write, for example, which class I want to use? BTN. I'll say class is equal to BTN. First of all, let's check that whether it is working or not. Yes, it is working now. You see, it's a black color button with white text. Make sense, everyone? Now, first question, question number one. I used only class. Will it give any warning? Yes, it will give a warning here. Let's go to the console. You see, invalid DOM property class. Did you mean class name? Do you guys remember that in JavaScript, when you are writing JSX, you have to use class name, not class, first of all. Now, interestingly, it will boil down to class, it will be changed to class. I'll show you. If I come in elements, and I showed you that before as well, but just for your remembrance. If you come here and you see class is equal to button, class is equal, even though I have given class name is equal to button. Do you guys all remember that one? Can I have a quick feedback? You guys remember that class name? It has to have a class name. Now, next question comes where this index.css style has been applied to. I don't see index.css anywhere. So let's see where is the index.css being used. If I go to my app.jsx, app.jsx or app.js is just taking a style from app.css. There are multiple files and you can have any number of files. Don't worry about that. So index.css is not connected over here. Where is the index.css connected? Let's come back here and let's go to index.js. Do you guys see over here like this one? Actually, this is coming, the style is coming from there. So wherever you define a style, if you define a style in index.css, good. If you define a style in app.css, good. If you define another file of yourself, like your own name and .css, you import that, fine. If you want, there are lots of other options, right? So, but now what we are doing, we have given a class in index.js, which is accessing index.css. So if I come back over here and I go to index.css, I see that I have defined a class .btn. And in my header component, what I've done, I've just called this class name is equal to BTN. And now I know that this button looks good, but why not? I want to make it a bit more interesting. So I say border radius and let's make it 5 pixel just to make it a little bit rounded shape. It's a very sharp edged, looks good. I say width and I say width is equal to 100 pixel. Let's do that. That looks good. So I can apply any, and by the way, I've just given this black color, which is not looking that prettier. So what I'll do is that I might go here. Let's make it some shade of green. Let's do that. Oh, the text now does not look good, so I'll make it black. Now here, and it has a very solid border coming up. No, I don't want a border. And so there is no border now around that one. That looks good. And one more thing, when button, it's a button. We always apply. I hope you guys know cursor property. We say cursor pointer. What does that mean? If I take my cursor over there, it will become a hand. Make sense, everyone? It will become a hand. Oh, Someone has a question. I don't have my like message screen, but I'll. Okay, sorry, I lost my internet for a second. No problem. Can you go over again why we import prop types from prop types in the header? Oh, Ellen, yes, wonderful. I would like to go there. So, Ellen, I'll show you that. So, Ellen, I imported prop types. You know why? Because I wanted to define the prop types for this header particular component. And I want to define their type as well as their validation of requirement. So if I have to define the prop types, I'll have to first of all do import prop types from prop dash types. Once I import them, I would be able to always use this one, and I would be able to access prop types over here, and I can define for all the variables that are coming, all the props that are coming, what will be their required type. Is it a string? Is it integer? Is it array? Is it what? Whatever it is, that is. And then I will say is required means that it is definitely required. You cannot leave that one. You will have to always use that one, and you will have to just have that. Ellen, did you get it? I hope you got my point. Is that making a sense to you? So to define the prop types, their validations, we always. Oh, where the prop types is coming from, prop dash type. Okay, so this is in the again in the library of the React. That it's a pre-built facility of prop types, prop dash types. So prop dash types has a prop types type of object that when used will be basically used to define the types and the validations for different particular elements that you want to use. Now makes sense, Ellen? Hopefully that makes wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so Ellen, I'm just a quick feedback about this one as well. Do you understand? I have given a style index.css and I have just applied that one, and my button is now adopting that style, and it's showing me the style over here, whatever I have just given. Let's give it a bit of padding as well. Why not? 5 pixel, a little bit of padding, so that ad becomes a bit more breathier. It becomes a bit more bit with that. Anyhow, that was that is not something that I'm looking for to. But again, I told you that we can apply style index.css. Usually we write there, and we'll just try to create the buttons over here. All right. So I have got a button over here, and I have just created the button in my header component. Now here I would like to tell you a very, very interesting thing. Yes, this is a good way of creating a button, but in most of the projects, we will do a little tricky thing. Not a tricky thing. It's actually when we'll just make it, you will realize, okay, how good it is. Rather than using or defining button like this, and I know that I will be needing these buttons in much more applications. I'll have to create lots of buttons, and with different properties, with different background color, with different stylings, with different things. I'll have multiple buttons to need it. So what I do, instead of creating button like this, I'll just write that in the as a comment, so that you guys remember. Instead of creating button like above, what we do, like I'll just mark that as a comment as well. Let's mark that as a comment as well. So I just mark that comment. So I don't want to have this button over here. Rather, I'll go to my components, and in component, I'll say right click a new file with capital B, button.jsx, and you will really realize that what is the importance of that. If I define a button.jsx, what does that mean? Let's talk about that. I have a button.jsx file. I'll first of all again do the housekeeping stuff, and again I'm using a arrow function RAFCE. If I just create that one, and again no need of this one, that in React keep on pushing that for us. Now see here, I have created a button, and here instead of returning the div, return me a button instead. Return me a button. And right now, let's hard code that and write add. Button should have add written on that. And again, why not? class name. I want to apply class name as well. It should have a class name of PTN that we have just used. Are you guys getting that one? I have defined a button class and rest everything is there. Now, rather than defining a button by myself in my header component, if I come here, as I told you, I've just commented that out. I come here and I just call the button component. Now, again, I've intentionally or unintentionally left out a step. And what is that step? I need to now import button over here as well. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Import button from now be careful where it will come from. If I write forward, dot forward slash. So right now it is not in components. It's exactly in the same folder. And because I am right now in a button component, which is inside the component folder. So I don't need to, I don't need to go anywhere other than the library. I have to on the same route, I'll find from this, not forward slash. So I'll just say dot forward slash button. How many of you guys understood that? Can I have a little quick chat message, chat message? Yes, yes, yes. That we have created a button component, and now I'm just calling that component over here, and this component is coming over here and button. And you will see, you'll see that what is the importance of that one, because there are so many good things that we can do with this one. Understood? Thank you very much, Mitchell, Kyla, and Ashley. And I get that much student reacting. It means that it is. Now, why I have done that? You might have this question. And you will really enjoy the answer, shortly, when I would just like to tell you. Now, if to this button, I can give two props. For example, I say color equal to red. I'm passing the props, and text equal to hello. I've passed two components, like two props to this button. Make sense, everyone? I have passed these two props to button. Now, if I come back over here in my button, so I'm calling the button with two props, color and text. Okay, come in the button. So button will need to destructure these two. Remember, everyone, destructuring. I would write color. The first one is color. The second one is what? Text. Take both those two properties. I don't know how many of you understood, but now instead of add, if I just come here and if I write here curly brackets and I write text. I hope you guys understood what I'm doing. That this button, it should have a class of button, no problems. But the text now should be the text that has been passed by the calling party. Are you guys getting that one? Not only that, you will be more happy to see one more thing that I would like to apply over here. If I come here and I say, okay, I want to apply a style to this one as well. And here comes the question. Someone asked, what is the importance of defining a style over here or doing something? Now I am saying that the background color, and again, remember, the background color will become like a camel case. Color should be equal to the color that has been passed. Now see here. now you would find that, oh, that's a great thing that we have done. Now, if I pass a color and a text, the button will show that color and that text. Doesn't that become a really a dynamic sort of thing for us? Now, let's come here and let's do that. Button color is equal to green and text is equal to something. Play. One anything. Play. Wonderful. I can have another button and I say the color should be yellow and the text should be warning, something like that. You can pass anything. Now this is all in your hands. Do you guys see how flexible we have become after that one? Do you guys realize what's happening now? The button class is doing a super cool thing. Yeah, super cool. Yes, Valentine. It's doing a super cool thing that now I can create multiple buttons just passing some properties. So Valentine, you understood the importance of defining a button class rather than a button thing, because you would really, you'd say, okay, wonderful. This is something great, because now this button, I can create any type of button, just passing the color over here, catching that over here, and applying the background color to the color, and the text, whatever is coming, just pass the text. Now my button is all, what I say is all, workable. And again, that I've just defined a BTN class as well, which is no more very much effective for the background color. Text is still black for everything. So if I come here and I say, rather than this one, if I want to have the color of white for everything, so now for every class will adopt automatically the white color, because they have the class applied over there, and they have that one over there. So other than Valentine, everyone understood this one? I hope you understood why we have changed this button to this one. And that's really cool stuff, because now I'm able to create any type of buttons, and these buttons will be displayed. And now another important thing. Can you put the buttons in any of the? That's a very wonderful question. Now I'll take Evan's question, and definitely I'll do that. Even, I have a footer component which is displayed over here as well. Yes, you are right. I'll go to a footer component. I say in footer, I need a button. So I'll come here and I'll say button color is equal to, for example, any light gray, and text is equal to I am footer, something like that. I'm just making a funny statement, trying to make a funny statement, right? So if I close this button, and again, remember, even I intentionally did not do that. Remember, I need to import that. I'll come here and import button from dot /. I have the button on the same route, same folder. I'll just hit save. Now look at that. Even, did you see that? Now I have. Yes, exactly. Of course, we need to always. So now I can create a button over here as well. And that's really cool, because now I have the facility. So virtually, even in any file where you want to create a button, you will always use this same technique. And this is applied, like all those things are applied. The style is applied because the style I've just given over there. So everything will be done over there. Now, not only that, not only that, I would like to talk about some more interesting stuff over here. What is that? Um, it's not only the simple properties that we can pass from the header or anywhere to any component. Rather, we can pass the events from the elements as well. What does that mean? Let's come back over here. So, okay, why not? Because of events question, that's a wonderful question. Even I want to just not only pass this button, like create this button, I want to pass a function also that does something for me. What does that mean? I come here before return. I write here const, for example, on click. I'm defining a function on click equal to arrow function. It's an arrow function, right? And what it does is it just console.log click. Now, I would like to talk about these events in very much details, but right now, just I'm telling you, I have defined an arrow function that is doing what? That has a function on click. And what it does is it just consoles.logout click. It just consoles.logout click. Is that making sense to everyone? I just created a function over here. Now, while calling the button component, I have passed color, I have passed text. Why not I pass an event as well? So I say on click, my variable, like my prop, equal to curly brackets on click. Now, how many of you understood which on click is which one? This first on click is the prop's name. That can be anything. And this on click yellow is actually the function that I have defined, which if successfully being ported to my button and I click on that button, it will call this on click function. This on click function will console.logout click. you guys understood that a little bit. I'll talk about that. Let's first of all, there is an issue. I'm passing another prop. Did I catch this prop in my head in my button component? Yes or no? No, I've not catch. I've just got color and text. I've not got the. So I'll come here and I'll say, okay, there is a method also coming whose name might be onClick, right? And do what? You do what? You have to do what? On the buttons onClick, which is the event attached to the button. This is the real button, equal to curly brackets onClick. How many of you would write a yes in the chat window if you understand what is going on? In the footer, I defined a function which is doing something, anything. If I want to if I want to pass it to my button function as well, I can do that as well. As I was passing certain parameters, certain props, I would pass a function as well. Now I pass this function with the name of onClick, and the function name is onClick as well. Right? And again, I'll just change that one. I intentionally kept it same right now. Now, if I just come to the button.jsx, I say, okay, I'm receiving one more prop, which is onClick prop. Its name is onClick. I'll receive that onClick, and on the onClick of the button, I would call that onClick method over here. Since the names are same, that might be getting confused. So now I'll come back to footer. Now I'll come here and I'll say GoClick, something like that. I just changed the name. GoClick. Now, who will tell me where can I change this name? Where I'll have to change this name? If I ask a question, line number 12, or in this on the line number 12, should I change this onClick or should I change this curly brackets one? The brackets one. Wonderful, Valentine. Thank you. So I'll say, and I'll come here and I'll say GoClick, because now my function name is GoClick. Now this GoClick is being passed. With what name? Should I change this GoClick over here as well? Valentine and anyone. Should I do this GoClick over here as well? Is that the right thing that I've done? No, a big no. And why big no? Listen, because I'm passing it as a prop with the name of onClick. Whatever is the name of the function, that does not know. Valentine does matter. It really does matter. You know why? Because the name exactly should be the same, because we are doing destructuring over here as well. So if you are destructuring, you have to have exactly the same name through which you have passed it from here. Valentine, try to understand that. And I hope you understand, you will understand what I'm saying. Actually, this will really matter. This really matter. Why? Because I'm passing from background, I'm passing with the name of onClick. So I'll have to receive this with the name of onClick as well. Now, to make it more interesting or make it more easy for everyone, if I just come here and I say func, I cannot write function completely because, now see here, Valentine and everyone. Now I'm passing a prop whose name is func, F-U-N-C, right? Function. If I come to my button.jsx, where should I write this function or F-U-N-C? Who will tell me? Where should I write? Here, because the parameter that I'm passing, the prop that I'm passing has the name of function, F-U-N-C. Now, when I receive this function, I would say whenever someone clicks on my button, on click of this button, call the function that was passed to me. And what function is passed to me? By the way, anyone? The function passed to me is F-U-N-C, function. Are you guys getting that one? Let's see if it is running or not, like it's working or not. If I come here, I open up the console and I show you, because we have done this to the footer. If I click on this footer button, you see I get a click. It means I am clicking on the button and this function is running, which is coming from behind, which is coming from over here, and with the name of F-U-N-C. Can I have a thumbs up from everyone? Should Should I feel that people are getting this one? They're understanding what's going on. So again, a function. I'll just pass, because it's now since it is receiving a function, and we'll have to, we'll be just, talking about that one. So, but I need a quick feedback. Like, if you are giving a thumbs up, I might not be able to see. My screen is not working today. So if you have anything, you can write in the chat window. You can write a why in the chat window just for if you understood what is going on, why I changed this function and why I changed this go click so that, on click might make a so, the most important on click is here, which cannot be changed. It's an event attached to a button. Valentine, thank you. How about the others? It's from Valentine. I would like you guys to put something on the chat for my understanding purposes. Wonderful, Lauren and Kyla, Mitchell, Ashley, thank you very much. That's wonderful. Scott, thank you very much. And Ethan. Now, if you understand that one, let's go to the header function where I was calling this button for. So for example, in the header, I say again, I'll just pass another function from here. So I say const sum function as sum func, rather make it arrow function. Let's make it arrow. You'll see that I told you in the beginning that I will be using more and more arrow functions now. Console.log I am sum function. I am sum function. Right? So now who will tell me how can I pass this sum function to this button over here? Do I have to use a specific name for the prop? Jenna, yes or no? Should I use a specific name of the prop? But because remember, button is receiving over here. So should I use a specific name for this one? What name I should use for this, for passing this prop? Like I want to pass this sum function over here. So what should be the name of the prop? Jenna, Ethan, anyone who can answer that? What should be the name of the prop? No answer in the chat. What should be the name of the prop? Is there a specific name that I have to use? Oh yeah, Valentine, why not? Why not? You want this one? Oh, a function. Okay, sorry. You want to see the functions. Function is here. Its name is sum function. So what should I write over here? So remember, yes, exactly. Not function. Yes, func is equal to curly brackets sum function. Even you got it right because sum function is the name of the function, Valentine. And func, F-U-N-C, is actually a name that I have passed on with the name over here. Now, if I hit save over here and if I hit save over here, now all should be good. Now, if I go to my header and the first button, if I click on the first button, red one, I am sum function. Because the function that was passed to it was with the name of func, func, and I have just received that function and I have applied that on click. Are you guys getting that one? I hope you are understanding this and you're getting that one. Where did you define sum function? Okay, even that's a good question. So even it's the sum function is being defined in the header file, sum func, and I passed it to the button parameter, to the button component by using a prop name func. And why I used even this func? Because I know that I'm destructuring the func over here. Even did you get it? If you want, I can repeat that all over. In the footer, you remember I had a function named go click. So I called this, I passed this go click with the name of func. And why func? Because I know that button will be able to destructure color, text, and function func. Even did you get it? If you don't, I would repeat that again and again. I would like you to understand that one before we are done with the topic. So does it need to be defined in the header, or could it be defined? Even it can be defined anywhere. So you see that even for the first example, it was in the footer. Like, any component that wants to call the button can define a function of its own and pass it as a parameter, as a prop. As a prop, it can be passed. Yes, why not? Why not? See there, it's here. And again, if I'll just cut this one from here, because then it's just hindering our. So if you want to look at that one, and even if I can do that, no, I cannot do that. So I'll just cut that one as well, or let's paste them at the bottom, like for those one who want to remember, and I'll cut this comment as well, so that we have just the program running in front of us. Look at that. This is the header. This is the header. Someone was asking for the header code. This is the header code. Is it okay, Alan? Okay, Ivan. Wonderful. Thank you. Now you have to remember that there is something, there is a name that we give to our, prop, and that name has to be destructured over here. And you remember, even and everyone, it's not like that we can destructure them like this. You remember, we can destructure them multiple ways. And I'll just to remind everyone, I'll just write here. You remember, I can write props here. Very much I can write props over here. Of course, now there will be an error. And now I can just destructure them. You remember, const curly brackets, and I have to know that which is coming. So that might be title, that might be text, that might be fun, FUNC. So is it title funker, that oh, color text and function, sorry. Color text and function is equal to, and props. You just destructure them, and they will exactly do the same thing that they were doing. Okay, it says function is not defined and why function is not defined. Let me just see that. Button. It says function is not defined. Why in the world? All right. Const func is equal to props, and oh, you know why it's just giving the message? Because for some of them, I'm not passing the function. So that's why it is just, it's just giving the error. So if I comment them out, look at that. If I comment them out, hopefully this error will go away. The warning will, you see, now it has gone away. Why? Because I was just doing for that one as well. Right? So is it making sense to everyone? So what I'll do is that we are not going to have a session Friday tomorrow, because we were having this session last 2 Fridays. But for sprint one, I would just keep my topics or everything, like the project till this point of time. And yes, I got this message from some students that they were a little bit worried about the QAP2 deadline, because it's overlapping with that one. So I would like to have a quick response from all of you, that if you want, what I can do is that, because since it is overlapping with that one, so if you guys want, we must have a meeting at Marathon at 11. Oh, okay, it's okay. So can you guys would you say you could define default value for front in order to prevent that? Yeah, exactly. So now, would you guys say that I should take QAP2 submission to after the sprint 2, or you are good with the current submission time of the QAP2? I need quick poll, quick polling.